Alright, so as an event coordinator, and that wasn't too many years ago, she tolerated me. We were actually doing pretty good, all things considered. I had convinced this company to make me an event coordinator and pay me X amount of dollars to do so, and they did it. And I was really good at it. I used to make cakes and throw parties for this company, and I loved them, and they loved me. Like, it was a really good relationship. But guess what? Well, good things come to an end in my life, right? Oh man, yeah, the company mismanaged a product release, which was huge. They thrived on their product releases, and this one was mismanaged. It tanked the company. I got laid off in January, and I spent the next 6 months looking for an event coordinator for the position. I'd been an event coordinator for like 2 years, and was trying to justify that experience to get another job like it. I was collecting, we were collecting what was it called? Crap. When you get laid off, what is it called? Oh gosh. Whatever. Out of work pay. Sorry. Freaking brain fart, right? I can't do it tonight. Anyways, 6 months I was taking that. And guess what? I couldn't find a job. So her dad was a manager for this janitorial company, and I took a job as a janitor for next to nothing, but it gave us money. I was never not gonna not work, and I did attempt to get in a job. I wasn't just being lazy on my butt. I was so motivated to not repeat what I had repeated before in my life. So I was working as a janitor. It paid okay for what it was. They have a hard time hiring people. And her dad got laid off shortly thereafter, and I kept this job. Then we had a friend that came over one night a few months in, and mentioned that I should go to nursing school. It's funny, when we first gotten back up to the state with her parents, I attempted to go to nursing school. The thought had crossed my mind, but I couldn't get into any of the schools. I couldn't get funding for whatever reason. I hadn't really finished a degree, so I thought I still qualified for it, but I wasn't able to get funding for it. And I tried this other school, and I was able to get funding for it. I got approved. I passed my test, my TEAS test, and I got in. In January I started. Around that time I got a second job while I started school, which is unheard of. I probably was the only kid in my class or in the school that worked as much as I did while I was in school. There's not a lot of people that I think could get through nursing school and do what I did and take care of a family for how long I did. It didn't last long, but I took on the second job at a psych hospital as a tech, and I worked that at night, 5 nights a week, and I worked as a janitor 7 days a week. I never had a day off as a janitor. In fact, for a whole 2 years, I never had a day off. I couldn't. By this time, I was a project manager for the janitorial company, so when somebody called in sick, I covered. When somebody was at a store, I would go there and be there for them. So I would go into work at night, and then the morning came at 6 in the morning when I was getting off my shift. I would go cover somewhere until 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then I would go to school for class in the afternoon time, and then go back into work. I would switch on and off that schedule and spend time with my family where I could. And I wouldn't sleep very much. But about after the first semester of school, I had gotten to a place of no return with my ex. You would have thought that I was in school again. It's only an 18-month program to be a nurse. That things would get better. That the fighting would decrease. But it actually increased. And she didn't think it did, but maybe my stress levels and anxiety couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't handle not having any positive in my life. And I felt that there was no positive in my life. Besides my kids. And it was negatively affecting, our marriage was negatively affecting our boys. My now 7-year-old boy was not very verbal. But he would start emulating our behavior, our fights. And I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle that at all. And I remember driving down the road one day and just having this thought that it was time, right? It was time for a divorce. I'd never had that thought in the 10 years we were married, even through the hardest times, but it just came to me, and I thought about it some more, and the next day I told her that I think we needed to get a divorce. She asked me if I loved her, which I had told her every day while we were married that I did. But I remember waking up that morning, it was a Sunday morning, and she asked me that, or maybe it was the evening before, a Saturday evening, I don't remember, but I remember she asking me that, and it wasn't there. I was completely numb. Like I am now. I didn't think it would be better. My life would be any better from the divorce. But I felt like the kids would. I felt terrible for her. And I worked even harder and longer so that she could have the money that she needed for her and the boys. While I lived out of my car. Pretty much what happened the next year. Me living out of a car, paying more than I could afford, getting into more debt. I took all the debt from our marriage. All the school debt, everything. I felt so responsible, and I still do. I mean, it's a huge burden, more than I can bear now. It's more than I can bear. Some days. Most days. Some days I can't even afford to eat, and I still just throw it on a credit card, and I can't, and I shouldn't eat. Although now it's good, I'm not eating, so I don't have to spend money on food, right? What an awesome diet. Seriously. Anyways. I probably should continue this tomorrow. With an apology, actually. Ugh, next session, doctor will do the apology. Even though I've been apologizing this whole time. God, help me.